Hi, welcome to the Believe Africa podcast, where we're having conversations that inspire, are creating minds that revolutionize. I am your host, Cyril Awere. For this episode 6, African Youth Voices, we have two guests with us. We have Derrick Wiafe, and we also have Gershon Kwamigah. They're both students. Derrick is a second-year student at the University of Ghana, and Gershon is an entrepreneur. Hello, welcome to the Believe Africa podcast. This is episode 6. We're talking about African youth, and today we have with us two, a student, an entrepreneur plus student with us, and they're going to explain their experiences in relation to the topic that we're going to discuss. So we have with us today Gershon and Derrick. So I'm going to invite you to introduce yourself, Gershon, please.
Okay, so my name is Gershon. I am a consultant, strategist, and an entrepreneur, and then a student as well.
Great. And yourself, Derrick?
I'm Derrick. I'm a student reading public administration at the University of Ghana, second year.
Wonderful. Now, what would you say attracted you to come onto this podcast? We'll start with you, Derrick.
All right. So to me, I think I was motivated because I was going to represent numerous youth, not only in Ghana, but in Africa, to voice out our difficulties, aspirations, and to some extent get ourselves motivated.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. And yourself?
So for me, I think what motivated me is the fact that I have something to share, and likewise hear what my colleague here also has to share.
Right.
And, yeah.
Okay. And what would you say has been your most defining moment, Derrick?
Well, I think I've had quite numerous experiences where I felt like I've achieved climax, but I still go with one that was about 10 years ago, where I was in basic school. There was this quiz which I didn't prepare for, and I went there and something magical happened. Then I was second in the whole of Ashanti region, so I felt like,
Out of how many students? Do you know?
not students, the districts. I think Ashanti region is the
Oh,
largest.
right.
with the
And you
most
came
districts.
second?
Yeah.
Oh, that's impressive.
So
Okay.
we started from the zonal, so from inter-schools to zonal, to then if you win zonals, you represent your district at the regionals level. And I was second, which I never prepared for because my headmaster told me the quiz isn't coming off. And one Sunday we were at church, he came to tell me that, okay, Derrick, the quiz is coming off and it's starting today.
Right. So you were not fully prepared? Actually.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Okay. It's even better then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And how about you, Gershon?
So for me, I think my humble beginning
Yeah.
is one that's been a moment for me that, I think maybe my family could have achieved better. So growing up from a humble background, I think they never achieved their dreams. So it has been something that has really shaped my
Right.
perspective.
Right. Okay. Excellent. And what would you say has been your, the most, the lesson that you've learned so far, the most impactful one? We'll start with you, Gershon.
One thing that I think I've learned is still on the fact that I came from a humble background. I think my family was complacent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe they grew to believe that living life, let me say poverty, like was an acceptable way. So they were okay and never tried something new. So it really taught me to go in a different direction and then try to change things.
Right. So you sort of decided to go against the grain
Yes.
in terms of what is expected of you.
Sure.
And yourself, Derrick? How
Well,
is that?
I think growing up, I really wanted to be a cardiologist.
Okay.
I'm not those. In Africa, a lot of people have been forced into their career fields.
Yes.
But I wasn't. Since day one, I wanted to be a cardiologist. But when I got to high school, Ghana has this famous science and math quiz. So I was a science student. Instead of doing that, I was rather doing debates, poetry recital, public speaking. So I said, I was like, Derrick, this is really you.
Okay. And you felt comfortable in that
Do you
space?
really want to be this cardiologist?
Yeah.
You don't want to be that doctor.
And sorry, Derrick, was that cardiologist? Was that a recommendation from your mom,
No,
your dad?
No,
or?
no one ever said it to me. I grew up I think after watching Dr. Ben Carson, I felt so much passionate about that I really wanted to take his path.
Yeah.
So when I got to high school and I was able to identify myself fully, and my parents supported me that, okay, then you will be pushed to the liberal arts field where you feel more comfortable and where you feel like you can do better. So I think believing in yourself and knowing you can do anything, absolutely anything, is the best experience I've ever had. Because from science background, now I'm reading a business related course in the university and I'm surviving. I'm really surviving. So I feel like if you tune your mind that you can do it, you will do it.
Yeah, and I suppose you also have to have the passion for it, isn't it? It's the passion that will help to drive you to towards getting getting better at it. And in terms of lessons learned, do you think that as a society we are risk averse, as in we don't like to make mistakes because maybe we're going to be laughed at, etc.? What do you think of that, Derrick?
Well, especially in Africa, people have something to say about everything.
Yeah.
Whether positive or negative. But mostly the positive ones are, exciting. So we try to live to fit in society's metrics. That if I do this, I'll get a positive comment. So we always have to do it, forgetting the fact that mistakes actually makes us better.
Yeah.
When we make them, we learn from them, then we thrive towards achieving success.
Yeah.
So the society we find ourselves in forces us to always be perfect. But they don't know that forcing us to always be perfect actually let us make more mistakes than we would have made if they had allowed us to live the normal life that we wanted. So I think it's really a problem, a challenge that we are all facing. Before you go out now, you need to look yourself from head to toe. Do I fit in where I'm going? What will this one say when he or she sees me? What will the comments? What are some of the comments that will be passed when I walk by a young man or a young woman? So those perspectives, the metrics they've laid down for us is really causing lots of havoc that we think it would have been better than that, but actually devastating.
Yeah. So for you guys, because you have a business. So
for me, I think society frowns on mistakes. Even in our school system, when you do not pass exams, you are labeled as maybe a failure or something. But even out of failure, you learn, get better, and then try again. I think recently a lot of Ghanaians are trying the Guinness Book of Record. We recently had the one who did the Singathon wasn't approved, and almost everyone on social media is against her that she never won. But I think it's something that is supposed to even encourage the younger ones to try. Even if you don't win, you've at least tried, you've gotten some recognition. So but in our society, once you feel you're not the person, so
So I mean that's the whole point of this podcast, is to help for our listeners to think about mistakes in a different way, that they see that actually can help them to grow, as opposed to it being a negative thing. What about what kind of support have you received in your journey so far? What is there, the community support, or parents, relatives? How has that looked like? Maybe we start with you, Gershon.
So for me, I've had support from so right after senior high school, I got an opportunity to intern with more or less like a friend. So he was already a business consultant, so I had to be moving with him. So that's how come I got to learn from him, and then when I started, he was one of the major supports. Sometimes referring some of his clients to me to help them in their um, business needs, and
Yeah.
and then also I get to meet young people. We talk, we network, and then we go for events. You meet other people, you learn from them, and then
Okay.
we also recommend your services to people they know. They also recommend, so that community has been very helpful.
That has been helpful, yeah. And how does that look like for you, Derrick?
Well, I think I'm one of the very few privileged Africans that
Yes.
I've had support from family, friends, relatives.
Okay.
The community, it's there, just that I haven't gone for it. Yeah,
Okay.
in my community, the paramount chief is doing so well that he has scholarship schemes and
Right.
those people helping the poor and the needy who are bright and they will do well, but because of finances, they might have dropped out or so.
Right.
Yeah, so you know he has a foundation. Yeah, I'm named after him, and they are doing that. So I think we are like the 0.0001% of Africans in that community.
Yeah. So I guess it depends on where the person finds themselves.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And if within the environment, their community, they have systems, initiatives that is helping those that are less privileged. And from what you're describing, how would you say is there sufficient collaboration between friends, family, etc.? Because I wonder if we have this situation where individuals want to go through their business being successful just by themselves, and they don't want anyone else to experience that success. So they want to just try and drive the business themselves and try and just succeed by themselves. And I just wondered what your thoughts on that. Maybe we'll start with you because you're already in entrepreneurship.
So for me, there's one thing I believe in. It's collaboration, but with a lot of people I've met throughout my journey, we are resistance of collaboration.
Yeah.
Yes, we want to own the success alone, and that makes it difficult for us to even get the success in the first place.
Yeah.
So collaboration is one thing that's very important. So for me, I'm always telling people I'm open to collaboration, and then I think quite a number of people are also trying collaboration, which is working, but then again, there's more people who are resistant of collaboration.
Yes.
So for me, collaboration is one thing. For me, once we talk and the conversation is meaningful, we jump on something.
Yeah, as long as it's clear as to what the mutual benefit is, isn't it? But yeah, as you say, Gershon, that I find that to be one of the big challenges with driving African businesses forward. So how do you balance your aspirations as you're working towards your aspirations? How do you balance that with the realities that we have on the ground? Because the realities that we have on the ground are not necessarily ideal for us, right? For us to be able to reach our goals and aspirations. How does that look for you, Ben?
Well, Africa has a problem with systems. That in most of places, systems doesn't work.
Yeah.
Even if it works, it doesn't favor the vast majority.
Sure.
So I think
systems are created by people.
Yes.
Too, right? Just to confirm.
Great.
So the root cause there is that we have people, there's an issue with people who are creating the systems.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I think my aspiration and reality is just something that, because I want it so bad, aside the systems created through relationships, through cooperation, as we were just discussing, I think bit by bit I'm making progress. But if you have to talk about the vast majority of African youth, a lot of dreams are dying because of the reality.
Yeah.
The reality says that mostly you go to school, you graduate, you thrive hard, maybe you get employed by the government, which actually less than 10% are even saying that.
Yes.
Then you grow up, you also bear children, the children go through the same process, and so on and so on. So the innovative ideas of many Africans get buried along the line.
Yes.
That especially with funding. And even if you have the funding, being able to register your business, especially in Ghana, is even a problem.
Okay.
And I know it's everywhere within
Yes.
Africa.
Yes.
Getting the business registration, getting even a place to rent, especially in Accra,
Yes.
that you would have to rent an office space, you would have to provide equipment and all that. This is the first time that I saw a flyer in my school that they will be funding, they will be doing business pitch and the winner will be funded.
Right.
That's the first time I have personally seen some in Ghana.
Okay.
When we always see it on TV, it's in Australia, America, that they have those rooms made for young Africans. So there is always a bridge between our aspirations and the reality. And most of us fall off that bridge because it's not healthy enough to transport you from where you are to where you want to be. So I think there is something wrong somewhere.
So we're speaking to policy, isn't it? Government policy.
Yes.
Really, around how do we nurture entrepreneurship? How do we make things easier for young people, such as Gershon, who can actually, and we know that entrepreneurship is has the capability of really building a whole nation. Right?
Yes, exactly.
The business community is really helping with a positive economic, socio-economic development. So, and how about you, Gershon? How does that look like?
Well, for me, aspiration different, reality different, but in a certain, once you introduce yourself as an entrepreneur, the belief is that you're a rich person.
Okay.
Yeah. So, for instance, I got an opportunity to meet some people, and then I was introduced as an entrepreneur, and then the next moment I was getting an invite to a program, and I mean, it came with some financial obligations.
Okay. Right.
But I mean, as you said, systems, you can start a business and maybe for up to 20 years, you've still not break through, So you still have the aspiration, the ideas and stuff, and you need to keep working, even if it is not coming up, you still have to be working and then still finding your way through the reality. And then,
So in other words, both of you are not aware of any government policy that is supporting new entrepreneurs.
No, I think there's quite a number of policies I know, but then again, the system you have to go through it, so comes on that.
There's something I see that theoretically there are lots of policies, but pragmatically only a few of them works.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And how did you navigate that then, Gershon, with this lack of systems?
System.
Yeah.
Well, for me,
I'm sure you had to be pragmatic in a lot of ways to.
So, for instance, when I was starting my business, I wasn't capable of, renting an office space, so I had to start from home. So most of my business activities are done from home. Yes, and then I carry my laptop, my bag, and I'm on the street. So my office is literally myself.
Yes.
So I think that way it helped me focus on businesses that do not necessarily need office spaces. So once I'm able to raise enough money and I can afford an office, I will definitely do that. So that's one way I did too.
Yeah, that sounds like the similar route that all the successful entrepreneurs that we know of went through that, right? Bill Gates had a garage. Jeff Bezos. So they all started from this kind of humble beginnings there. So I think that's a very useful statement for our listeners to understand that in order to the start of the journey will involve making even some sacrifices and settling for a lot of basic sort of starting point. So let's talk about your professional development now. And of course, from you, Derrick, you'll be from your schooling perspective, and for you, Gershon, you'll be from your entrepreneurship as well. Derrick, how have you managed your professional development, to date, being a second year at a university? So it would be interesting to understand whether you had to do any other additional study other than the core, curriculum from the university, for instance.
Well, the curriculum-wise, I think, I don't know, but one of the best experiences I'm having right now is being in the university.
Right.
Yeah. The courses, there are a lot of rumors that university doesn't prepare you for the real world.
Okay, that's a very important statement.
Yes,
right?
but to some extent, I think the rumors aren't that right, because I'm taking courses. I'm a public administration student.
Yeah.
I'm taking courses on the office management,
Okay.
environmental management, public administration, local government administration, the political setting of administration, a little of economics, a little of accounting. So you come out fully prepared for the administrative aspect of businesses.
Yeah.
At least you have fair idea of every single thing, the accounting side, the environmental side, the whole political setting of the administration.
Okay.
Extracurricular, I love speaking, so I'm in the debate society, and I love music as well. So I do music in my private time.
Okay.
So development-wise, I feel like day by day, I'm becoming a prominent young man.
Yes.
That there are certain things I used to do before entering the university that I do no more.
Okay.
Like I'll just leave my hair the way I want it, walk on the streets, feeling like
general maturity, right?
You know, right? I just didn't care about anything.
Yes.
But now, after taking 1 or 2 professional development courses, I feel like, okay, this is how things are being done, and this is the right way. So you just have to maneuver your way through and do it well.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, how do I say, not necessarily forcing you towards one path, but it makes reality dawn on you that this is the right thing that's supposed to be done.
Yeah.
So I think the university is actually grooming me into a prominent young man. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to hear. And how about you, Gershon?
For me, there's one thing that one value that that drives me is continuous learning.
Good.
Regardless of what I've achieved so far, I consistently learn. I read almost every day. Even this morning I read. I read. I take up online courses. I'm still schooling. My ultimate dream is to become a lawyer.
Okay.
So I'm currently reading communication.
Right.
From there, I venture into the law. So learning has been an integral part of me that I can't do without learning. Even coming here, I think the experience itself is a learning process.
Yes.
So one thing that I would say is continuous learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Regardless of the age.
And now we're living this digital age, right? Everything is on your phone. There's vast amounts of information on your phone. YouTube has got so much content. Everything is there. And this is why some entrepreneurs are even questioning, to what you were saying, whether it's actually worth going through a whole university of a number of years. Because you can actually learn about how to practically, but do you think that maybe this is more targeted to you, Derrick, do you think that our universities are helping us to become problem solvers?
Now, I'll say yes.
Right.
Because aside the normal courses that we take, in my school, for instance, our computing systems, the University of Ghana computing systems, organize professional course trainings every semester. So although the data processing I did as my normal course was not more practical, but because the UGC, as the computing systems, organizes courses under Excel, PowerPoint, where you go for the practical session to actually get yourself to become familiar with the tools. We call it, how they even name it, the Microsoft Office suite. So anything you will need in the office as an administrator, there is a room for you to go learn. Now, on the other side, I believe the problem is some of us, the young ones. University of Ghana Computing Systems would send us the email almost every semester. You go for the training in a school that we have about 70,000, and you meet less than 1,000 students willing to take up those courses. So we are the same people who would come out of school and come and complain that the courses we took didn't prepare us for the job market.
That's the first time I'm hearing this, by the way.
Yes.
So that's interesting.
So we always look at what can be done for us. But we don't think about what we can do for ourselves. They've made avenues, it's there. Today, when you walk in there, you want to learn this, they will teach you. But You can ask any other student, and I think this is so decentralized that it's in every institution.
Yeah.
Anytime there is a skill training course or there is something you feel like, oh, I'm a medical student, I don't need Microsoft Excel for anything, so I'm not going to go there. I'm a law student, under no circumstances would I use liquid soap for anything. So
Right.
when those skills training come, only a few take the opportunity.
Right.
So those are the people that we call the 1%.
Yeah.
So those few would come into the society and make impact. So after graduation, you see that in less than 3, 4, 5 years, these people are soaring so high that you can't match up with them. It's all because of this, because the avenues were made, you decided not to make use of them. So I think that is one problem. We always look at what is being done for us, but what we can actually do for ourselves, we don't care about it.
Yeah, but would you say that that's a general kind of mindset, actually? Sometimes as a people, we're always looking forward to someone helping us as opposed to us actually creating something for ourselves. And it's a mindset issue, I guess, isn't it? From a young age, you're expecting to be and what is the best way to fix that, do you think? How do we make the students aware that this going on these courses, trainings can actually help them?
I think one problem is how fast young Africans want to succeed.
Right. Okay.
That's a major problem.
Yeah. So, it's also called the microwave mindset.
Right? So we feel like things are supposed to be done so fast that like by 25, 26, before your 30s, you're a millionaire.
Yes.
Which to some extent, to the extreme extent, is not the reality.
No.
You have to go through the process. Not the process being the traditional process as in schooling, graduating, but the process of succeeding.
Just learning,
You make mistakes, you learn from them, you try again, you make a mistake, you learn from it. The more the mistakes, the more your experiences, you don't repeat those mistakes and you're becoming better. So shifting the paradigm from us expecting people to others to do things for us to us doing things for ourselves, I think it will take a very long time. But I think we should start from the basics. That's kindergarten, those areas. Although it is very good to teach children collectivist values than individualistic values. But to some extent, when you blend the two, it helps. Because I feel like a better collective society is a society whereby the group can do well individually.
Okay.
When you put together a bunch of average students, they are still average.
Yes.
When you put together a bunch of bright students, they are bright.
Okay.
So if each of us can't perform well individually, then the society will be retarded.
Yes.
But if we can perform well individually, then we come together, then we achieve at the faster rate that we want, the fast rate that every African, like 30 years we're a millionaire, this. When we can do well individually, changing our mindset that, okay, I shouldn't expect everything to be provided for me. I can do this to achieve this that I'm expecting someone to rather do for me. And it happens. Mostly it's in the traditional way, so we don't feel like that is what we are supposed to do. Sometimes people work to pay their school fees, even in the university.
There's a lot of students that do this.
But when it's time for them to learn something so that they can achieve life, they feel like, no, the government is supposed to create avenue, do this, do that. But they will rather work and pay the school fees, get a certificate. After the certificate, the government has to create a job. Why don't we go through the same process again? It worked. So why don't we create something, then we achieve something? Other than expecting things to be always provided for us. So I think the shifting of that paradigm should start from childhood. We should blend individualistic values with collectivist values. That we should make it known. If you do well individually, you will succeed in the group. But when we take you out of the group and you are nothing, you rather become a burden to society. You are always draining society but you don't give back.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel like the problem can be solved.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the whole point of this episode, right? Is to be talking about this and bringing it to the fore. So it's great that you're sharing, your perspectives on that, and hopefully our listeners are listening to it and thinking, oh, okay, so maybe I have to change my way of thinking about how I can improve myself. So I should take ownership of how I develop myself from a professional perspective. So let's talk about intersectionality. Intersectionality is really about different tribes, different classes, etc., and how that can adversely impact growth. And what do you guys think about that? Do you have any experiences or any kind of stories that are linked to that?
Okay, so for me, I think during the earlier part, he spoke about the Ashantis being vocal.
Yes.
Yeah, so for me, I'm more reserved. So mostly when I see Ashantis,
you're completely opposites on the spectrum, right?
I really admire them, and then I try to have a number of them. So maybe when I'm going for maybe a program that demands so much talking, I brief them on, and then they mostly act as like a partner to me.
Okay.
And so learning from how vocal they are, and then their energy. Stuff. So
and sometimes I think it's good as well to have if you have a business partner, for instance, let's say your business partner was from the Ashanti region, right? So your business partner is like the vocal one, the go-getter, right? And you are the more cautious one, the one who is kind of takes some time to think through things, right? And that could be complementary in a way, isn't it? So that your joint decisions are a bit more balanced. So you're not taking too much risk, or you're not being too risk-averse. So I guess there's benefits, with the different cultures there. And what kind of stereotypes do you think we have in society that is causing us to, again, struggle to grow? Maybe we start with you.
Okay, so for me, one of the stereotypes I've ever faced is my age.
Yeah.
So I once had to meet somebody for business, and upon reaching the person thought I was sent by someone. So the person was so expecting that someone shows up taller or well built up.
Oh yes, ideally with a pot belly, right?
Exactly.
So I introduced myself, and she I think she was expecting someone different from So then she had to she wasn't ready to carry on the deal we're about having.
Yes.
She felt, I think this is a small boy, I can't do business with him. So we had to go back and forth, and unfortunately the business couldn't happen. I'm sure maybe because of the age.
So
the age has been one thing, and then also experience. Sometimes when you go to the job market, one of the key things is you should have 5-10 years experience. But they are failing to know that it is out of the opportunity you give us that we are able to develop our capabilities. So I think those are the two things that
you face in the past.
Those are the two main things.
Okay. And how about you, Derrick, from your perspective?
To some extent, it's the same, but because I don't have experience in the entrepreneurship and the business, I think I'll talk about mine being so basic. Like race.
Ah, okay.
As simple as that.
Yeah. In our case, I guess it's tribal.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
So tribals or like ethnicity in the African setting. That we go to the internet trying to fight racism, but we are our own racists.
That's very true too.
Because even in school, when people speak a language that you don't understand, anytime they want to discuss something that is to some extent more beneficial, they change the dialect because they know, when we say it, you can't hear us, and we will go get it done.
Right.
So I have some friends who are international students. 2 of them are learning English proficiency.
Okay. International students as in Africans? Or?
Yes. Right. One is 2. these two I'm talking about are all Africans, one from Burkina Faso, one from Ivory Coast.
Yeah.
That because they didn't understand English, they felt very left out in the University of
They're
Ghana.
French speaking. Yes.
Yes. But I met them one time.
Yeah.
And one could understand that one we have to talk slow before she can be able to process this English, what you are trying to say.
Yeah.
So they always worked together because they understood French. Both of them were Francophone speakers, so that's the bond they created. So during the conversation, they told me that at the International Students Hostel, in their room are two other people who speak Swahili.
Yeah.
And they speak French, but the Swahili speakers are fluent in English language. So when they see that they are there, they don't speak the English that they can at least understand a bit.
Yeah.
They change and they speak Swahili,
Right.
which is even predominant.
Yeah.
Too local that you walk to a normal food joint or a normal shop, or you go to buy something in the market. The moment they hear your tongue, okay, there's a typical Ashanti boy who probably doesn't understand Ga.
Yeah.
So let me speak Ga.
Right.
If I speak Ga with my friend, we can fabricate prices and give it to this person.
Okay.
And something that is normally being sold for like 50 cedis, they will sell it for you for like 200 cedis. Because you don't understand the language that they spoke to themselves before selling it to you. So I feel like the tribe, the ethnicity, the many languages we have is one stereotype. Ghanaians like that. And I think to some extent all Africans, even in Nigeria, Igbos and Yorubas are always on each other. But they are one people.
That's right.
Just because of the ethnic group. They are always. I think
so it is a challenge, isn't it? Yeah, the tribal ethnicity part. So let's kind of draw some conclusions now as we come towards the end of the episode. What advice would you give to our listeners? So we're sort of trying to recap on this topic about how youth can actually grow and become successful. But in summary, what advice would you give to our listeners that would, some practical steps that would help them to go through this journey of growth? We'll start with you.
So I think for me, I think it's not enough to just dream, but to act upon the dreams and then
take action.
Take actions, be determined, and then stay focused. Definitely, situations might come, but you still have to be focused and keep working hard.
Yeah.
And then also have a growth mindset. Know that you can't start now and then achieve. So you need to go through different processes to get to where you want to get to, and then with time, everything will fall in its right places.
Indeed, yes. And we do have a separate podcast just talking about mindsets, by the way.
Yes. Another thing that even motivated me to come here was the fact that I was planning with a friend. I wanted to do a podcast with a friend that targets on youth actually. So the podcast was supposed to be called Young, Wise and Wild. It's supposed to motivate young people to make good use of their youth.
Yes.
And then be wise. Learn, take up collaboration, learn something.
Yeah.
Be wise and then be wild. Go get it.
Excellent. Good. Yeah. That's encouraging to hear that you're also doing something similar to what we're trying to achieve, right? The many of us there are, the better. So that's a good thing. How about you, Derrick?
Well, the youth out there, which I'm part.
Yes.
I know, we all know, most of the government in Africa has nothing better to offer us, and it's sad.
Yeah.
But I think on that perspective, you can become innovative out of that.
Right.
Knowing well that there is nothing to offer, you can create your own.
Right. Yeah.
I believe when we shift our paradigm from give me to I can make it, we will rather see growth in Africa.
Yeah.
Because the more the innovative ideas, the more the people that will take actions, the more the actions taken, the higher the probability that Africa is going to grow.
Yes.
not everybody will achieve it by one try. Some will have to go twice, thrice, some even the 10th time. Thomas Edison did it 99 times.
Indeed, yes.
So
999 times, right?
times.
And he was
So you
successful
see,
at the thousandth attempt.
after that, he just said he knew 999 elements that
Yes.
couldn't light the bulb.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
think we should just do it, as Gershon said.
Yeah.
The tribulations will come, the trials will come.
Yes.
Just do it.
Right.
One day your light will shine.
Yeah. So we need more of us thinking this way, isn't it? That it's okay to make mistakes. And of course, this podcast hopefully is helping that as well. So that those that are seeing others and making mistakes are rather saying, oh, that's really great that you've learned something new, as opposed to being seen as a negative kind of a aspect. How do you see the future for young Africans? What is your perspective on the future for young Africans? So, according to predictions of statistics, Africa is going to have the largest amount of young people in the world, right? And that's why we're having this really, really important conversation. Because if a lot of our youth are armed with the right thinking and what have you, then we stand a very good chance of being successful as a continent, even. But what do you think from your perspective of where we are today? What do you think the future looks like for African youth? We'll start with you.
So for me, I've always been telling my friends the future will be Africa.
Right.
Yes. And then the podcast name is Believe Africa.
Yes.
I believe in Africa so much that
that's good to hear, Gershon.
And then mostly you hear young people saying they want to travel outside. I had a friend telling me, when you get an opportunity to look, I said, no, I want to be part of the future of Africa.
It's encouraging to hear.
I want to be part of the future. I want to be the future of Africa, actually. And where young people are building things. You go outside, you see young people building innovative things. And I think a few years to come, Africa will be
excellent. Yeah, that's encouraging to hear. And besides, there's a lot more opportunities on the African continent, isn't it? There's so much work to be done, provided our youth are thinking in the right way. And how about your perspective, Derrick?
Well, like Vodafone, I'll say the future is exciting.
Yeah.
You just have to be ready. Yeah, being ready. I think now Africans are ready. Young Africans are ready. Just that we don't go the right way.
Yeah.
The youth are now very hungry for success, but to some extent, the vast majority want the quick way, so we end up with cybercrime and all those kind of things.
Yes.
If how hungry we are, we decide to make use of the hunger by doing something better. In the next decade, Africa should be the best place to be.
Yeah. It's a case of channeling our energy the right way.
Exactly.
Right now, we're not quite doing that. I was in Nigeria just a couple of days ago, and it's amazing to see so many young people. And there's a lot of them, by the way, that are really ambitious, trying to make things happen, despite, as you said, the systems not being in place. And that's a testimony to the degree of hunger, right? To succeed. But that's really great. I think your insights for both of you that you have shared today hopefully will help our listeners. The conversations hopefully has been rich enough for you. This episode, of course, we're focusing on young Africans. Both Derrick and Gershon represent that very well in terms of profile. And we hope that the stories that have been shared, you're going to find some value in them. So we encourage you to maintain the belief. And we will see you on the next episode. Don't miss the next episode. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to you joining us for the next episode. Please don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channels, along with our social media platforms for any new offerings and engagements with you as listeners. And we look forward to seeing you at the next episode. Thank you.